This is Mrs. Berkeley, and I'm going to review some information that you will need for your biology end-of-course exam in Florida. This video will cover inheritance patterns of codominance, sex-linked recessive, polygenic inheritance, and multiple alleles. It would be helpful if you reviewed Mendelian genetics before viewing this video. Some alleles express codominance. For this species of flower, if you cross a purebred red flower with a purebred white flower, all of the F1 offspring will be striped red and white. Both alleles are equally expressed. The Punnett square would look like this. For the F2 generation of a trait that exhibits codominance, the homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive plants would show up again. Incomplete dominance would have the same red and white purebred flowers as parents, but the offspring would have their alleles blended so that the offspring would be all pink. A trait that expresses incomplete dominance would have the homozygous dominant and homozygous recessive plants show up again in the F2 generation. Human blood type is a classic example of multiple alleles. There are more than two different types of alleles for blood type. Antigens on the cell surface help identify what type of cell it is. Let's pretend that type A blood cells have circles and type B blood cells have squares. Type AB blood cells have both circles and squares. This is an example of codominance. Type A blood and type B blood are codominant, while type O blood is recessive to both A and B blood types. Sometimes there is an advantage to having two different alleles for a trait. This is called having a heterozygote advantage. Sickle cell anemia is a disease where red blood cells become thin and elongated. With two of these mutated alleles, there aren't enough healthy red blood cells to carry oxygen throughout the body, and individuals are at risk of death from a lack of oxygen. If a person has only one copy of the sickle cell allele, only half of the red blood cells will be misshapen and sometimes not be able to pass through small capillaries. This creates a health issue if the individual is in a low oxygen environment like extreme exercise or high elevation. However, having the sickle-shaped cells increase malaria resistance. Malaria is a life-threatening mosquito-borne disease caused by a parasite. In a person with normal red blood cells, the parasite makes its host red blood cells knobbed and sticky so that they clump together. This clumping provides more opportunities for the parasite to replicate. However, the clumping of red blood cells means that the infected individual might suffer a stroke. Once the parasite replicates, the red blood cells rupture, leading to severe respiratory distress and other life-threatening symptoms. Persons without any sickle cell alleles are at risk of not surviving the malarial disease. In sickled cells, the parasite is not able to produce as many sticky knobs, allowing the individual to survive the parasitic infection. An individual with one normal allele and one sickle cell allele has an advantage. Since only one copy of the allele is needed to give resistance, heterozygote individuals are able to survive malaria because the immune system is better able to fight off the parasite in the mutated cells. Most traits in humans are polygenic. That means that there are multiple genes that affect one trait. Think about nose size, height, skin shades, toe length, etc. All of these traits have a wide range of possibilities. Humans have 23 pairs of genes. When they are arranged in a picture like this, it is called a karyotype. 22 of the chromosomes are called autosomes, and one pair are called sex chromosomes. The genes on these chromosomes are a little different from the genes on all the other chromosomes. We have discussed that organisms inherit two alleles for every trait. Well, not quite. Genes on the sex chromosomes only need one allele in order to function correctly. The typical male genotype has one X chromosome and one Y chromosome, as this karyotype depicts. A typical female genotype has two X chromosomes. Genes on the X chromosome only need one allele in order to function, so it is okay that males only receive one X chromosome. If a female has a mistake on one of her X chromosomes and the other X chromosome does not have the mutation, she will produce enough protein to not be affected by the ailment. All other chromosomes will also have the possibility for being able to produce enough functional protein if one of them has a problem, so that is why we have disorders that are recessive. Even if there is an allele with a problem, the individual has another allele that produces the correct protein. There are many genes on the X chromosome that are necessary for life, but the Y chromosome does not have any of these genes. The Y chromosome includes genes for making a fetus male and to enable men to produce sperm. Some of the genes that are only on the X chromosome will produce color blindness or hemophilia, which is a bleeding disorder. Let's examine a typical sex-linked recessive disorder, hemophilia. Since hemophilia is on the X chromosome, we have to begin our Punnett square with X and Y chromosomes. The mother has two X chromosomes, and she has a mutated gene on one of her X chromosomes. She will not express hemophilia since her other X chromosome has a dominant allele. Dad does not have hemophilia either, and the couple may not even be aware that mom is a carrier. Let's fill in a Punnett square. If they have a girl, 50% of the time she will have two normal alleles, one from mom and one from dad. But every female baby would have a 50% possibility of being a carrier, just like mom. She will never know that she carries the gene unless she has a DNA test performed. The couple will never have to worry about hemophilia if they have a female child. Now for the male children. 50% of the time, mom's egg would carry the dominant gene and the baby boy would not have hemophilia. But every male child this couple has would have a 50% chance of having hemophilia. Let's review a different sex-linked problem. This time, dad has hemophilia. All of the daughters would be carriers, but no child would actually have hemophilia. This can happen for many generations without being expressed in a male child. How would a girl ever have a sex-linked disorder? Let's look at one more family. This dad has hemophilia and mom is a carrier. There is a 50% possibility that a baby girl would have hemophilia and also a 50% possibility that any boy would have hemophilia. This is a pedigree for a sex-linked disorder. Notice that neither one of the parents in generation 1 are affected by this disorder, but the son is affected, and neither of his sisters have it. We see that the son of the youngest daughter also has it. If we begin to follow this down through the generations, great-grandma had a recessive allele that she passed to all of her children. Daughter number 3 passed it to her son and possibly her daughter, but we won't know that for certain unless there is a male in future generations with the disorder. Daughter number 1 also inherited the recessive gene because she passed it to her daughter, who passed it to her son. There is a 50% possibility that she also passed it to her daughter. Let's go back to the young man who married and had a son and a daughter. There's no possibility that the son could inherit this since it's on the X chromosome and dad passed a Y chromosome to his son. The son got his X chromosome from his mother. However, dad did pass on a recessive allele to his daughter since she inherited one X chromosome from mom and one from dad. X-linked recessive alleles affect males more often than females since males only inherit one X chromosome and females have two X chromosomes. And remember, biology is a way of life.